Welcome to this video on anaerobic respiration. We will explore what happens when the body respires without oxygen, covering topics from muscle fatigue to fermentation. Anaerobic respiration is respiration that occurs without oxygen. It allows cells to release energy from glucose when oxygen is limited, such as during intense exercise. Aerobic and anaerobic respiration both release energy from glucose, but they differ in efficiency and products. Aerobic uses oxygen and is more efficient, while anaerobic does not. Anaerobic respiration is less efficient because glucose is only partially broken down, leaving much of the potential energy locked in the lactic acid molecule. In animal cells, anaerobic respiration during high-intensity activity leads to a buildup of lactic acid, which explains why muscles can feel sore and heavy. This slide shows the key difference in equations. While aerobic respiration produces carbon dioxide and water, anaerobic respiration in animal cells produces lactic acid. Lactic acid is the waste product of anaerobic respiration. Its accumulation in muscles is what causes the painful, burning sensation known as muscle fatigue. Intense energy demands lead to anaerobic respiration and lactic acid buildup, eventually causing muscle fatigue that limits how long we can perform high-intensity exercise. When you stop exercising, your body must deal with the accumulated lactic acid. This requirement for extra oxygen after exercise is known as oxygen debt. Oxygen debt is repaid in 3 stages. Intense exercise creates the acid, the exercise stops, and then extra oxygen is used to break the lactic acid down. After exercise, lactic acid is transported to the liver, where it is converted back into glucose using oxygen. This is why we keep breathing deeply after stopping. Recovery involves keeping breathing and heart rates high to transport oxygen to the muscles and liver, allowing the body to return to its resting state. Breathing remains elevated after exercise as a direct consequence of the oxygen debt. The body needs more oxygen than usual to metabolize the accumulated lactic acid. Similarly, the heart rate remains elevated to pump oxygenated blood to the liver for the conversion of lactic acid back into glucose. In summary, recovery requires the repayment of oxygen debt, sustained high heart and breathing rates, and time for the body to return to normal conditions. Moving on to Chapter 3, we look at anaerobic respiration in yeast. Yeast cells handle this process differently than animals, creating unique and useful products. Yeast is a single-celled fungus that survives without oxygen by fermenting. Unlike animals, it produces ethanol and carbon dioxide instead of lactic acid. The word equation for yeast fermentation is glucose forming ethanol and carbon dioxide, plus a small amount of energy. Note that no oxygen is required. Fermentation is an ancient biotechnology. It is a biological process where yeast breaks down sugars to produce carbon dioxide, causing bubbling, and ethanol. In Chapter 4, we explore the real-world applications of fermentation, which has played a major role in shaping human food and drink culture for millennia. In bread making, yeast respires anaerobically. Carbon dioxide bubbles become trapped in the dough, causing it to rise, while ethanol evaporates during baking. The process of bread rising clearly demonstrates fermentation, from mixing, through anaerobic respiration, to the rise, and finally the baking process where yeast dies. In brewing, yeast ferments sugar for ethanol. Brewers carefully control temperature to optimize this process, often capturing the carbon dioxide for natural carbonation. This table compares bread making and brewing. Both use yeast and anaerobic respiration, but they prioritize different products: carbon dioxide for bread and ethanol for drinks. Fermentation is intentionally anaerobic. By limiting oxygen, brewers and bakers utilize the natural biology of yeast to achieve their specific, desired production results. In Chapter 5, we compare the energy efficiency of aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is more efficient because it oxidizes glucose completely. Anaerobic respiration is less efficient, releasing much less energy per molecule. Anaerobic respiration is used by the body as a short-term supplement when energy demand outpaces oxygen supply, such as during intense sprints. This chart highlights the differences in conditions and products between the 2 respiration types. Recalling these details is key for your biology exam. In Chapter 6, we conclude by emphasizing the importance of committing these word equations to memory for your upcoming assessments. This slide outlines the word equation for anaerobic respiration in animal cells. Note that glucose is broken down into lactic acid, a process that occurs without oxygen and releases only a small amount of energy. In yeast, the process is called fermentation. The equation differs from animal cells, as yeast produces ethanol and carbon dioxide alongside energy, which is essential for baking and brewing. This comparison highlights the core differences between respiration in animals and yeast. Remember, never confuse the products. Writing the wrong one is a common way to lose marks in exams. We will now focus on common exam questions related to these topics, which frequently appear on GCSE Biology papers. Practicing these will help you perform well. A common exam question asks for the products of anaerobic respiration. For animals, always state lactic acid only. For yeast, specify both ethanol and carbon dioxide to secure full marks. When explaining why breathing rate stays high after intense exercise, describe the cause, lactic acid buildup, the resulting oxygen debt, and why this requires continued rapid breathing. Why do sprinters use anaerobic respiration? It provides energy rapidly during high-intensity contractions, when the cardiovascular system cannot supply oxygen fast enough to meet the demand. For bread-making questions, mention that yeast respires anaerobically, creating carbon dioxide bubbles that cause the dough to rise. Be sure to note that ethanol evaporates during baking. This section serves as your revision summary, distilling the most critical points you need to master for your exam. Here are the 5 must-know facts. Anaerobic respiration lacks oxygen. Animals make lactic acid. Yeast makes ethanol and CO2. Intense exercise creates an oxygen debt, and recovery involves elevated breathing and heart rates. Use this hub diagram as a visual aid to connect all these key concepts. Each spoke represents a core area you should be able to explain confidently. Before your exam, run through this quickfire checklist. If you can answer each of these questions, you are well prepared to handle the anaerobic respiration section of your test. You are ready for the exam. Master these equations. Understand the role of oxygen debt and fermentation, and you will be fully prepared. Good luck with your studies.